What does trauma do to relationships? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communications, how to build strong family bonds, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about the impact trauma has on relationships. In this video, we're going to talk about what trauma is and what it does to our relationships and what we can do to try to improve our relationships if trauma has had a negative impact. Trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. For many people, when they've had a traumatic experience, it's something that they don't forget. In fact, oftentimes they find themselves thinking about it. Some people will even find themselves triggered to go back to a place of trauma in the past. This can have a negative effect on overall well-being. It can disempower a person if they don't know how to handle it. And I do have another video about that called "What is Trauma? Is it Real?" But it also can have a negative impact on relationships. Trauma can bring people together sometimes. You know, there are times when a nation, say, experiences something. I remember in the United States when 9/11 happened, that there was a traumatic event and everyone in the nation pulled together, prayed together, showed patriotism, supported however they could. The same thing happened globally during the COVID pandemic. People were traumatized. They were secluded from other people. They oftentimes didn't have some of their basic needs met. They couldn't have access to some of the things that they had access to before. Children weren't seeing their friends. Some children are still recovering from that experience. But we all had it together, and so there was this type of unity that came through it, even though I would say there also was a type of bonding that happened which was, for many communities of people, kind of against how the whole situation was handled. Either way, though, there was a unification that happened within certain groups, and everybody understands what happened during COVID. It was a global experience. So people can come together because of trauma, but also trauma can rip people apart. Now, sometimes one person experiences a trauma and other people don't understand that trauma or that bad, significant experience that happened to them. And because they don't understand, they don't give them enough time or space to get through whatever it is. And that can be hard. Oftentimes people need a little bit of a time or space buffer in order to deal with a trauma and move on. For many years, I did therapeutic treatment care for troubled teens. They were all between the ages of 12 and 18. The majority of them came from traumatic backgrounds. They had a lot of things that they would deal with. A lot of anxieties, stresses, pressures. They didn't know how to have good relationships sometimes because of the amount of trauma that they had experienced. Sometimes they were reactive, like sexually reactive, socially reactive, because of the experiences that they had had in their past. So these would be signs of trauma. But they came to my home for treatment. So would I just say, well, you've had trauma, so too bad for you? No, of course not. I loved them. I cared about them. I wanted to help them, which means that I had to help them move on. A lot of the popular opinion about trauma is it's something you can't ever move past or ever move on from. And that's just not true. There are ways to heal. Some people heal spiritually. They turn to God, they give their problems up to God. And I'm in full support of that. I've done that myself many times. He truly does understand. But other people, maybe they're not religious people, they also can learn to drop the subject about their trauma. If a person does not properly work through their trauma, it can have very negative effects on other relationships in their lives. Work, home, school, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends. Every person wants to feel connected to others, and especially when they're in a time of worry or stress, grief or pain, they want to feel bonded to another person. But not everybody wants to rescue someone from a trauma. In fact, some people feel very weighted down by someone needing rescuing all the time. When someone needs to be rescued one time from something, or maybe 2 or 3 times, they might be there. But after a while, they start feeling abused and used by that need for rescuing all the time. When a person experiences trauma, they need to be taught how to rescue themselves on the inside and not have to have some person or something on the outside rescue them. That's one of the most important things that you could teach a person who's experiencing trauma is, wait, when you feel that, when you think that thing, tell yourself stop. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this thought that I'm having, is this worry or this fear that I'm having right now true, or is that just trauma stuff talking? And if it is true, what else could be true? What else am I not seeing here? Because there's always what is seen and what is not seen. Dig deeper, brain. Find something else to hold on to instead of just thinking of yourself as a victim. Victims have hard lives. In a lot of the trauma-informed care practices, we actually enable victims so that they oftentimes have harder lives because they can't be done with being a victim. They always carry it around with them, and some of those practices actually enable that. That inner dialogue that a person has is significant. When they feel triggered or start remembering a past trauma, it is okay to talk about it with another person. That's where therapists come in, and psychologists and friends and family who really care. But there's also a point where it's damaging and it feels like a big weight to other people. And so there's a point where the person needs to be taught how to let it go. In the Teaching Self-Government Parenting System, I talk about 4 basic skills. Now, these are adult skills that everyone needs to know. One of those skills is the skill accepting no answers and criticism. When a person knows how to accept no answers or criticism, they learn 4 steps. They look at the person or the situation. In this case, it would be this feeling of being a victim, or that nobody cares, or that I'm too small and I can't handle this, which, by the way, is leading toward depression. Oftentimes, traumatic experiences increase anxiety and depression. And so you're not usually just dealing with trauma. You're often dealing with depression too. And so that's something that you have to remember. But you look at the situation or the person, which is the trauma or the bad feeling or the bad thought that's in my head. And you keep a calm face, voice, and body about it. So you tell yourself, okay, I need to be calm. And you need to know how to get yourself calm. And I'll talk to you more about how to do that in a minute. Step number 3 is to say, okay, this is happening. I can accept it. I can surrender a little bit to the fact that this is happening. I don't have to have complete control over everything around me. It's okay. Or I could disagree appropriately. And then you drop the subject. So you say, but I'm moving on. I'm not staying here in this place. I'm not going to keep this feeling of being a victim. I'm going to move my brain on to another place. And you teach yourself how to do that. It's actually really powerful. Now remember I said that I would mention about calmness. So if you've subscribed to this channel already, you know there are so many videos on here about calmness. But I have something really special too that I'd like to share with you, and it's called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. It's a beginner course for learning self-government, and there's 10 tools in it for how to be calm. I recommend starting there. Now, in the description below this video, there is a link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit that you can have for free. The link says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. So when you click on that link, it will take you to the Teaching Self-Government Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. It will help you create a new dialogue on the inside to help you be able to cope a little bit better with your trauma and to stay calm for others when they're working through their trauma as well. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.